Hey everyone, Joe Waxman here, the mediocre astrologer. Man, he's okay. What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing well. And this is my second video today. Reason being is that it's pouring out, so I can't go for a walk, can't do any food shopping, anything like that. So I'm making another astrology video. I have another topic to cover. This one is Kate Middleton, or Catherine, Princess of Wales, with her recent cancer diagnosis. Right. A lot of people are have a lot to say about it, but um I don't wish her any harm just because she's a royal. It doesn't mean I dislike her. I don't know anything about her. I mean, whatever. But I wish her well. I wish her well. Just because she's a human being, and I don't wish suffering on anyone. So anyway, let's look at the astrology. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Book a reading with me, macrogoldmachine@yahoo.com. And check out my Patreon. Become a member if you like, if you want to support me. All right. All right, this is Kate Middleton, Catherine, Princess of Wales chart. And first thing to notice, she's born during a full moon eclipse, not just full moon eclipse. I mean, this is a really intense eclipse, strong one. And so eclipse borns are usually have somewhat of an impactful life, right? It's some sort of buzzword karma. I mean, of course, everything is karma. I always say that, but when you're born during an eclipse, it's something significant. Of course, she became a princess, so that is pretty significant. And sun is opposite moon, moon's in dignity, sun's in Capricorn, and this shows a relationship, right? It shows some ripe karma as well, because the moon, if the full moon is like a ripe fruit, so it's some sort of ripened karma. All right. Sun is her ascendant lord, and it's a night chart. Moon is above the horizon. Moon is strong. Moon is very strong. Plus, she's a woman, so it's Moon in Cancer conjunct the North Node. It's not great. To be honest, I'd rather see it the other way around, where North Node is conjunct the Sun and South Node is conjunct the Moon, because that way, with South Node conjunct the Moon, there's much more psychic ability, and it really sharpens the mind. With North Node conjunct the Moon, it creates obsessive emotional desire, like need to satisfy the hunger, the emotional needs of the moon. So they're constantly chasing their moon quality, right? I suppose because it's a night chart and the moon is stronger, that's better, because then it's like sort of um the North Node is sort of filling her personality. Like, this will become more her identity. So it's influencing her um bigness, her worldliness, right? The North Node sort of intensifies, expands, um, and makes more worldly whatever it touches, right? But let's see. So the sun is exactly in conjunct in the sixth from the ascendant. It is the ascendant lord. So this sort of shows that she embodies this subservient sixth house in conjunct aspect, because it's the ascendant lord and it's the sun, right? And the sixth. So she's very service oriented. Kate Middleton, Catherine, Princess of Wales. So that's not a bad quality. It's a very admirable quality to be service oriented, um, wanting to help others, wanting to serve others, right? A lot of sixth house activity, even if Mercury and Venus are in the seventh whole sign house, still pulling in sixth house energy as well, quadrant. And there's some stuff going on. First of all, Jupiter is square Mercury and Venus in a superior square. Um, and it's applying. Like, it's pretty much exact with Venus, but Venus is just under the degree, Archimedes degree. Mercury a little for 1 degree less, and so they're both applying. So that's pretty intense. And Jupiter squares are not usually harmful, but it's carrying Scorpio energy, which is not really ideal for Venus. Venus ruling the third and the 10th, the MC, dispositing Mars, Saturn, Pluto. So Venus is bringing in some dark, heavy energy, the malefics, Saturn being the out of sect malefic for a night chart. But Mars, Saturn, Pluto, all of it disposited by Venus. So Venus carrying that energy, square a Jupiter in Scorpio, where Venus does not do well in Scorpio, it's in detriment. So Jupiter square Venus also is going to bring to the forefront this kind of excessiveness, because Jupiter and Venus are both benefics, but in sort of like the negative side would be too much, right? Too much of a good thing, too much sweets, too much fat, too much indulgences, right? Venus loves to have fun, it's joy, it's sensorial enjoyment. Jupiter is excess, big, large expansion. So Jupiter is expanding Venus in the sixth house from Scorpio in a superior square, and that's as well as Mercury, right? Mercury ruling the second and 11th. Second house for consumption, right? So Jupiter might be expanding place. Mercury conjunct Venus in the sixth square with the Jupiter in superior square might be expanding her appetite, right? Making her crave all sorts of rich sweets, even though she doesn't look fat. I'm not saying like that, but like it's still her choices of what she might want to eat might not be ideal, right? It might be too much sweets, too much rich kind of foods, right? That will feed her cancer, will feed sickness, especially with all the sixth house activation. And South Node, the sun is usually, I don't think necessarily bad in the sixth house as far as like illness or disease, but it depends how it's aspected and whatnot. The South Node is not a good influence on the sun in the sixth because it's weakening the vitality and creating a detachment. Sun conjunct South Node has a bohemian-like quality where the people tend to want to veer off the beaten path, the worldly path, because Sun represents our sort of worldliness, right? And when there's detachment from the South Node, it's sort of like giving up on the world, and becoming sort of, living in a cave in the woods or something like that. Yeah. So furthermore, there's a square from the outer sect malefic Saturn, even though it's in exalted in Libra, it's conjunct Pluto and Mars, right? So this is a very difficult trinity of planets in the third house. Saturn is in a superior square to Sun, applying because Sun is the faster moving planet, and as well as the nodes, right? Because the nodes are going to go lower degrees. So it's applying to both the sun and the south node. Moon's in a superior square to Saturn, where it's also applying, as well as applying to a square to Pluto, right? Sun is her vitality, it's her ascendant lord, it's her body. Moon also represents the body, as well as the mind and emotions. And so this is very difficult, right? Saturn's ruling the sixth and the seventh. And so that also suggests her relationship may not be as ideal as we think, as it seems on the surface, right? Because Saturn, although exalted, it's conjunct Pluto and Mars, and Saturn is the out of sect malefic, and it's square the nodes and the sun and the luminaries, both applying. Well, all of it's applying. Moon's moving faster, it's going to catch up to the Saturn. Sun's moving faster, it's going to catch up to Saturn. Nodes move backwards, it's going to also catch up to Saturn. Moon's also going to catch up to Pluto, and so is the sun in the square, right? Yeah, so this is not a great combination. It really isn't. As far as her health goes and vitality and general well-being. She does have Jupiter in the fourth in Scorpio, so like sort of like the land and the power is there. Jupiter and Scorpio is going to be big power, right? Scorpio's controlling, loves to control things in the fourth house, land, like houses, castles, land ownership, that sort of thing, right? This is influencing her mind, her intellect. Very diplomatic in a way, but passive aggressive. And heavily, just deeply serious with the Saturn Pluto conjunction in Libra. Yeah. Mm, let's see. Moon's applying to an inconjunct with Neptune. Um, it's not super close, but it's still there. Uh, and let's see. Moon's dominant. If Neptune were dominant, that would probably be worse, but definitely a lot of imagination there. Um, yeah, very imaginative, creative. I'm not sure if that's relevant to what we're talking about. Definitely this, this square here and all this, everything else I mentioned is. All right. Let's look at some other things. Sorry, not Janis Joplin. Let me just bring up the current transits real quick. Uh, let's see. Pluto. Well, Pluto was all over her, sixth cusp and sun and south node. Now it's in Aquarius, but still six quadrant, right? So that's going to be pretty devastating. It's going to retrograde back into Capricorn, and that's probably going to be worse. Her Cancer probably formed while Pluto was in Capricorn, right? That's when it was probably created. Mars and Saturn and Venus all in her seventh house, so her relationship is probably all over the place, right? Venus good, Saturn and Mars not good, especially Saturn for her, right? Yeah. Her career, public image is generally good because of Jupiter. Uranus is shocks, right? And radical things. So in general. The nodes, right? The eclipse that's coming up, actually, let's pull that up. Um, okay, so let's see here. The full moon eclipse, not really doing a whole lot. It's gonna hit, let's see. Oh, it's squaring. Yeah, this one is squaring her Mercury and no, not squaring. What am I saying? Sorry. No, it's trine and sextile. That's probably okay. Um, yeah, the full moon, the solar eclipse, I think is more impactful. Let's look at that. All right, so that's 19 degrees. But it's squaring her sun and moon. Yeah. Squaring her sun and sun, particularly being in the sixth house, and her ascendant lord, and in not in great dignity. Moon's in good dignity, but moon also is not in good dignity in Capricorn, so further weakening the sun with the moon's aspect on the sun. And um, Aries actually good is good for the sun, but the square on the eclipse, it is going to hit her sun particularly, as well as her moon and the nodes, so to some extent. Opposite Saturn by 2 degrees. So this is playing into her T square, right? Big time. And then her ninth house. So mm, I mean, yeah, you could say the obvious about ninth house things, her belief system, philosophy that could be shattered, but this connection to God. So somehow this is going to um completely. I feel like this is going to create an existential crisis for her, right? Because all of a sudden she has cancer, she's worried for her life. Here, there's an eclipse, it's in the ninth house, so all of a sudden it's like, boom, her connection to God, her faith, or whatever she believes in life, I have no idea. It's going to be shattered. It's going to be temporarily wiped out. It's not like there's not going to be a new something new emerging, but for a while it could be completely catastrophic for her, and she might lose all faith in life or in hope, right? Yeah, it could be really significant. It is particularly going to be hard on her moon because it's a superior square to her moon. Um, And yeah, and that's her identity. So it's gonna be pretty impactful. Let's look at secondary progressions, because here's the other thing. She's she's almost in a new moon phase in her secondary progression. She just entered Pisces. Let's look at her last um lunation cycle. It was probably in Aquarius. Let's progress lunar phases. The new moons are extremely important in secondary progressions because it shows where the theme is for 30 years. So that's 4 degrees of Aquarius. The next one's going to be at 4 degrees of Pisces in 2027, right? So, yeah, so it's 4 degrees Aquarius, the last one, sixth quadrant, seventh whole sign house, but she got married during this time, right? I mean, she's not that old, right? But she got married during her seventh whole sign, new moon in Aquarius, period. Um, Now the south node, the secondary progress south node is, yeah, still in Capricorn, but Venus, Moon is not good in Capricorn, obviously. It's in her sixth house. It's her main luminary, right? Because nighttime chart, moon above the horizon. So that's not good for her. It's in the sixth house, it's in Capricorn, the house of sickness. Um, Sun just moved into Pisces, which is her eighth whole sign house. And so when she has her new moon in Pisces, it's really going to activate the eighth house, which is inheritance, right? And shared resources. And she could inherit a lot of money through her marriage. But eighth house is also crisis, right? Death, rebirth, crisis, psychology, shared psychology. So there could be a lot of stuff going on for her in these next coming years. I imagine she'll inherit a lot of money, right? The marriage might not go so well, but the divorce will be great. I mean, for her financially, but just as well if they don't divorce, she'll be, you know, ascend. I think she's isn't she in line to inherit the throne? I don't know, maybe. Anyway, um, I'm sure there's going to be a tremendous amount of inheritance, especially Jupiter's dispositing the Pisces eighth lord in the fourth, right? So inheriting land, inheriting title, inheriting houses and castles and things like that, right? Plus, also, I forgot to mention Jupiter being the eighth lord in Scorpio in a superior square to um, uh, Mercury and Venus. That's also going to be harmful, just by being the eighth lord in itself. It's damaging potentially. So that's her secondary progressions. Let's see, is there anything else worth noting? Everything else looks pretty um, fine. Let's look at the zodiacal releasing, see if there's anything there. Zodiacal releasing. All right, so for health matters, you look at a lot of fortune because you can release from a lot of spirit, a lot of fortune, or a lot of eros. A lot of eros talks about relationships. Fortune talks about health and things that we are beyond our control, like fortune, right? And spirit talks about career and things that are in our control. So she's in an Aries um uh period since 2023, June June 3rd, 2023. And um Aries, Capricorn, but let's look at that. Um so Aries is ninth house, disposited by Mars. So yeah, I mean it's just activating this trinity of planets, Mars, Saturn, Pluto, with the Aries ninth. Um, it's not a direct correlation. Ninth house is not usually related to health. It's pretty harmonious in general because it's trying the ascendant. right? But it is activating Mars, and then by proximity, Saturn and Pluto and the square, the T square, right? So yeah, that seems to add up. Um, let's check out Spirit, Gemini, and then Gemini, Scorpio. Um, Again, I mean, it's, it could be anything, could be a lot of things. 11th house. Groups, networks, groups. All right, so that doesn't seem to be as relevant. Definitely the secondary progressed lunation cycle, because wrapping up a cycle. And so when we're wrapping up a cycle, it's not always pleasant or easy. It's like nothing new wants to start. Old things are dying. It's sort of a winding down before the renewal. I'm in a similar phase like that. I don't have a new moon till 2027. It'll be in Leo, so it'll be a big, huge thing for me. But right now it's sort of winding down um, phase. So, oops. Um, Perfection. Let's just see what kind of perfection year she's in and look at her solar return. So right now, since January, she's in a Saturn Aquarius. That means last year, when she was probably diagnosed, she was in a sixth house perfection year. Now she's in a seventh house perfection year. Let's check out the solar return for this year. Um, so, all right. So yeah, Pluto, Sun, Pluto, and I'm sure last year was also Sun, Pluto, right? Mars, Capricorn. So Saturn is the uh, Lord of the Year. His rules Aquarius, and it was Lord of the Year last year. So it's in Pisces, which is her eighth whole sign house. So that is negatively activating the eighth house, which is crisis, right? So that does seem to be the theme for her this year. It's seventh quadrant, so perhaps relationships are not super hot for her this year. Um, it doesn't seem like they are, but they're probably not talking about that publicly. Um, see, the nodes were right on her, pretty much right over the Saturn, her natal Saturn, so that's probably activating that as well. And anything else? I mean, Mars is in Capricorn, that's okay. But yeah, I think this Saturn, this Pluto really kind of explains that a lot. We can look to last year, see what that was like, because it was just before, and then Saturn's in Aquarius in the seventh full sign house, seventh quadrant. And it would be a six house yearly perfection year. With Pluto here, Mercury. Um, so yeah, I mean, Saturn's in good dignity here. So actually last year was probably better than this year, but it was a six house perfection year. So she probably found out last year, and then this year it's coming to light um publicly. Um, yeah. Anyway, guys, I think that's it for Kate Middleton, Catherine, Princess of Wales. Um, we really see in the natal chart plus her secondary progress cycle, and the two Saturn years in a row, which is her worst. Saturn is her worst planet, her most difficult planet being a night chart, right? So two very difficult years for Catherine, Kate Middleton, um, activating Saturn like that. So hopefully it'll get better for her. But anyway, it'll be till 2027 before she's starting a new phase. And that will be a powerful but very difficult as well eighth whole sign house phase. Pisces, eighth. Could be very psychic too. She could gain a lot of psychic intuition that time at that time. She might be interested in occult stuff too, like astrology or other things as well. So that'll be interesting. But all right, guys, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like button if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. Book a reading with me, macrogoldmachine@yahoo.com. It's my email. And leave a comment down below if you like. And that's it for this video. Mediocre astrologer signing off. Man, he's okay. All right, guys, take it easy. What do I say? Laugh it off. Take a victory laugh. Win before you win. All that good stuff. All right, I'll see you again soon. Bye.